You know that person who sits down to do one thing and ends up doing everything else? They meant to answer a single email. 2 hours later, they've reorganized their notes app, they've watched 4 videos on a topic they don't care about. The original task is completely gone. They're not choosing this, they're not being dramatic. They keep starting, they just can't finish. Or they finish things nobody asked for. And here's what nobody around them knows. They are aware. They have always been aware. They've watched themselves do this for years with no explanation. What's changed is that now, finally, there is one. ADHD diagnoses have tripled in adults in the last decade. The assumption most people reach for is cultural. People are self-diagnosing because it's trendy. The bar for the label has dropped. But that's not what the research says. The bar hasn't changed much. What's changed is the environment and how hard it has become to hide. Here's the part nobody warns you about. The modern world didn't create ADHD. It built conditions precisely mismatched with the ADHD nervous system. People who were barely managing stopped managing. What was invisible became impossible to miss. The term is executive dysfunction. Here's what it actually means. Your brain has a management layer. It starts tasks, switches between them, filters distractions, holds goals in mind while you work. In ADHD, that layer doesn't fire on demand. It fires when conditions are right. Urgency, novelty, genuine interest, high pressure. Remove those and the system stalls. Not because the person lacks ability, because the system runs on a different fuel. This is not a character flaw. It is a wiring pattern that has always existed. It just wasn't named until recently. There are two layers to why this is suddenly visible everywhere. The first is environmental demand. Picture a normal Tuesday. You wake up to 14 unread messages. Before you've made coffee, your attention is already scattered across notifications, news, a feed refreshing faster than you can read it. For most nervous systems, this is uncomfortable but navigable. For an ADHD nervous system, this is the exact input frequency it's most reactive to. Researcher Gloria Mark at UC Irvine found average recovery time after each digital interruption is over 23 minutes. The ADHD nervous system gets hit with this dozens of times before noon. By mid-morning, the executive system is depleted. The world reads that as laziness. And here's the second layer most people miss: masking. Many people with ADHD never looked like they had it. They built systems. They took jobs with hard external deadlines because that pressure substituted for internal drive. They stayed quiet in meetings because tracking conversation while managing their own thoughts was genuinely exhausting. Researcher Kathleen Nadeau documented how women with ADHD built compensatory strategies so thorough that clinicians missed the diagnosis for decades. The mask held until something broke the scaffolding. Burnout, a major life change, a job with less structure. Suddenly, a person who was always fine is barely functional. It wasn't sudden. The structure stopped holding. So if any of this is landing, if you've spent years being told to try harder, focus more, just care more, here is what is actually true. You were not failing at a normal brain. You were running a different system in an environment not built for it, with no information about why. Every planner that didn't work, every productivity system downloaded and abandoned, every timer set and forgotten, every hour at a desk producing nothing, those were not moral failures. Those were the wrong tools for a different nervous system. The people who called you scattered, unfocused, too much, they were wrong about what they were seeing. You were never disciplined. You were underinformed about how your brain actually works. Here's what actually governs this. ADHD is not a deficit of attention. It's a deficit of consistent access to attention. The attention exists. It needs the right conditions to unlock. Novelty unlocks it. Urgency unlocks it. Deep personal relevance unlocks it. This is why someone hyper-focuses for 5 hours on something they care about, then cannot make one phone call for 2 weeks. It is not inconsistency of character. It is the system doing exactly what it was wired to do. Understanding that reframes the whole problem. The problem is not discipline, it's environment, and environments can be redesigned. The diagnostic surge isn't a trend, it's a recognition.
of people who were always there, now in a world with enough language to name what they've experienced. Drop your answer in the comments. Did you always know something was different, or did it only make sense later? Subscribe if this explains something you've never had words for. That's what every video on this channel is trying to do. Next, why people who feel everything more intensely than everyone else aren't being dramatic. Their nervous system is calibrated differently. There's a name for that too.